Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Killing Eve. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, the kills at the beginning were really interesting because it's just kind of like she's just far away. She throws that thing, it hits the lady back in the head, and she's dead. I was like, I feel like that'd take a lot more than that. But I mean, it's just like, it just shows you how proficient Villanelle is. The fact that she was able to do that twice too, and that takes some pretty good aim. I guess it's just like, whatever the case may be, she ended up killing the wife, went in there, and the maid's got the nanny or whatever's got the baby, and then every time she pointed at the baby, she's like, no, not the baby, please, por favor, no, and then pointed at her, she's like, no, and then she'd go back to, I love that being a bit where she's like, oh, baby, then you, baby, you, and then she's like, why do you care so much, it's not even your own baby, and then throws it and kills the lady. Then I love, she literally takes the baby. I'm like, what are you going to do with the baby? I was like, are you going to try the whole motherhood thing? And she kind of is a little bit. But and the baby starts kind of whining and it's got food in its hand. She's like, stop that. I don't like that. And Dasha's kind of like, oh, you think this is all funny because like the baby threw some food at her and started laughing. She's like, oh, I'll show you something funny. She literally walks over and is like, what's she about to do with the baby? I thought she was going to do something terrible. I mean, she did something terrible, but it's not as bad as my mind is. I won't even put it out to what I thought was going to happen. I was like, oh, good. I mean, I think it speaks volumes that my mind went even darker than they went. But she just put the baby, she just didn't throw the baby in the trash can. She gently placed him in the trash can, and Villanelle's over there laughing like, oh, that really is funny. I'm like, that's so interesting. And literally the entire time they having this whole conversation, the baby situation, like, oh, people are crowding around. I love the baby thing. It's just literally in the background the entire time. But it's like, oh yeah, like, obviously, like, your management situation, obviously you looking over someone didn't go over that well. But for her, it's like, Villanelle's like, well, the guy wasn't that really good. So she's like, Dasha's like, well, we're stressing, I'm stressing to the 12 to kind of, pick someone much better and stuff like that. So while all that's going down, there's a situation with Mo. He's talking to Caroline, who's in the bath, and then Eve comes in and she's like, whoa, and she's like, oh, get over it, Eve. The fact of the matter is, I do my best thinking in the bath. Mo got over it, so you'll get over it too. And Mo's like, I haven't looked up in 10 minutes. And then you got Jamie coming in because it's like, this is supposed to be a meeting, but he didn't realize this was going to be a meeting in the bathroom. Side note, I have to look into it to make sure, but I'm fairly certain, isn't the actor who plays Jamie the same actor who plays Simbini in Penny Dreadful? I only know that because obviously I just finished binging all of Penny Dreadful, so regardless, I'm pretty sure that's him. But nevertheless, and I love they have that sit down. It's a quick, a little bit of just kind of like everyone's sitting there, no one's saying anything because no one wants to give information without getting anything from the other. So it's like a whole back and forth between Jamie and Carolyn about just kind of like, oh, we'll handle it. Oh, can you really be trusted to handle it? It's like, oh, I think, and it's just a whole back and forth. It's basically a pissing contest of like who can get this the whole information, like everyone's trying to make sure no one gets screwed out of any information. And Eva's like, no, how about we put that all aside and kind of work on this together and everything and share. And even her daughter, which once again, I think I said this last time, she looks so familiar and I gotta look into why I recognize her. The fact of the matter, Geraldine is kind of like, oh, this is the most cooperation that's ever happened in this house ever. But I love that, working with them, Eve was able to figure out, kind of decipher Kenny's secrets. It's interesting because, he used his Rubik's Cube as a decipher for, what it was. Basically, you find the letters and you turn them a certain degrees and stuff like that. It was actually really interesting, and it spelled out pandas and fat panda. So kind of tying into the fact that's obviously what he was looking up and everything. I even love Eve was talking to Home Dude because he was like, oh, do you want one or something? She's like, no. He's like, I know, once I pop one, I just can't stop. She's like, I mean, well, actually, you can stop. It's self-control. He's like, but I don't have any self-control. And Eve didn't have any response to that. She was just kind of befuddled by it. But then also I love it. It's like when Eve's in there talking to Jamie and Home Dude, it's like, all right, so I'm explaining. Basically, there's an assassinate. All right, before I talk to you guys about this, I gotta let you know that if I let you know about this, then your lives are going to be in danger. And Jamie's literally in the middle being like, well, then don't tell us. And Eva's like, we're talking about that organization called 12. The 12. I love it. He was literally about to say, if we're going to be in danger, don't tell us. And you're telling us. Okay. And he's looking at the other dude. Jamie's like, okay, fine, you're literally in the middle of telling us this anyway. I love that she didn't skip a beat. She didn't even let him finish before she went on. It was like, and in this moment, I'm telling you about a group that's going to put your life in danger. And yes, now you know your life is officially in danger now because you know too much. I love that whole situation. But obviously, they're looking into the accounts that Kenny had come across, trying to figure out whether or not, finding out where the money is, because now it got moved into an account in Geneva, which we also see that kind of connects to Constantine, because Constantine met up with a dude named Charles, who was basically saying there was like $6 million euros moved from the account. He needed Constantine to kind of cover that for a little bit, but then he was like, you cover that, and then I'll try and find the scoundrel. I'm like, do you have a gambling problem or something? Did you take some of the 12? So that must mean he took some of the 12's money and kind of did his own thing with it, and he was hoping he'd be able to put it back before anyone noticed. Sadly, that's not the case. At the same time, all that's going down. Well, first and foremost, like, Eve finds out, like, she went to go visit Nico. Nico's not there. Apparently, he left like a week ago to Poland. And that's kind of a middle finger, because obviously he did it without even telling her he was leaving. And now she has no idea how to actually track him down or get in contact with him because he won't answer her texts. And it's like, well, Nico literally made it pretty clear at the beginning of the season, like in the first episode of the season, being like, I kind of want nothing to do with you. I deserve better. I deserve better than you. So that's kind of a sucky situation, because it's like Eve messed up in many different regards. But at the same time, you're just kind of like, Eve's very unique, much like Villanelle, which even that's like a woo! Because I didn't talk about it. I'm getting too giddy about everything, but it's just like Villanelle going to that perfume dude, because she's basically describing stuff, and she's like, oh, I want something that kind of smells like Rome and Roman centurion. That was her, but it's like, oh, like an emperor. Now it's like, oh, so you want a scent that represents everything that went down in Rome and how much better you are since Rome. And then she went to like almost like basically a Build-A-Bear workshop, and she was leaving a message up, because I even love her being like, this place, she's just like disgusted by the place. She's like, this place is evil, even with the bears laughing, and even them giving the bears like maniacal laughs too. But I don't know if that was just her perspective on it, but she was like, this place is psychopathic. That's a lot coming from a psychopath. That speaks volumes in itself. But the fact of the matter is, she's like, she leaves a message saying, I should have shot you in the head. No, she's like, yeah, like I should have shot you in the head and made sure that you were dead. And then she left another message saying, I'm still thinking about you all the time. So like, and it's kind of what I thought, because like when she found out Eve was alive, she smiled, she was happy, because she was like, oh, it's just like when she found out Constantine wasn't dead, like, oh, because I brought that up last episode of like, she was actually happy. And because like the thing is, she missed Eve. Like, despite everything she did to try and move on, she's always been thinking about Eve. Even she lies to everyone, including herself, of just how much Eve means to her. It's like, no, I got over her. No, you haven't. You never forget that one true love that's come into your life. You're just like, oh, you thought nothing would work out, but it's, oh, she's alive, so there's a second chance for our love this spring true type of situation. And what I really loved is Eve just on the bus, and then Villanelle shows up. I'm like, you were doing all that with the perfume and the bears, and you said, fuck that. Let's do this face to face. I was like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, granted, she was in London, sure, but I didn't expect her. I thought she was going to futz around a little bit, kind of like, oh, I'm going to leave you this cryptic stuff. I'll let you know it's me, Eve. I'm here in London, blah, blah, blah. I know you're alive. It's like, oh, in that moment, Eve's like, oh, you know I'm alive. Oh, you're in front of me. Oh, shit's about to go down. And Eve is the one that strikes first. Like, it's a lot of slapping, a lot of hitting, and she's like, I'm not here for you, gets on top of Eve, and I'm like, oh, this is going to, some music playing, you're like, okay, where is this going to go? And then Eve kisses her, and like, you guys have the most twisted, fucked up relationship, and I love it. And the fact is, they look at each other for a moment, and then like, Eve headbutts her. I'm like, this is wild. This is the most, I don't know how to describe this toxic, twisted relationship, that it's like, it's the relationship you love to hate because they love to hate it, because Villanelle kind of hates herself for how much she loves Eve, and even Eve hates herself for how much she loves Villanelle, because it's like, it ruined her marriage, and it just kind of, it's not normal, the fact is, of her being so fascinated with Villanelle. And I love that when she shows back up at work, everyone's just looking at her, she's like, I don't want to talk about it. Jamie's like, Eve, she's like, I said I don't want to talk about it. And I love as that's happening, I didn't notice it before. I only happened to notice it then, so it might have just been then. But while she was sitting there, her nose is bleeding a little bit. I don't know if it was already bleeding a little before, but I just happened to notice it in that scene, and so it seemed like it was just happening. And that bruise on her head from headbutting Villanelle is super apparent. So it's like, holy crap. And so she basically has to explain everything to Jamie about what's going on. Then Carolyn, well, for one, I like the fact is that Carolyn went out with that dude. Because she got stood up on a date. But then part of me is like, wait, was that all a ploy? Because I even love that Geraldine was kind of like, oh, I'm happy about it. She's like, I regret actually telling you at this point in time that it was actually a date and stuff like that. And it's so, you can tell like Geraldine is very affectionate, and Carolyn tries, obviously we know that she kind of buries that side of herself. So like when her daughter's like super affectionate, you can see it just makes Carolyn very uncomfortable because she doesn't know what to do with herself. But the fact of the matter is she meets with that dude, and it's like, oh my God, how long has it been? 20 years. I had to be 21 years because he's like, I got divorced in 1999. And he's like, the first time, they're laughing about it. And he's like, yeah, I got stood up. And she's like, I got stood up. And he's like, really? You? And she's like, yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna find him and kill him. And then she was pumping him for information because he worked in like accounting in like Geneva. So this is their way in. And obviously, like, Carolyn comes back, has to put ice on her head, recovering from the night before. And she has that whole speech about, like, the fact of the matter is, you act like it's such an easy thing to manipulate the people that you once loved. She's like, it's actually quite painful. And Mo was like, do you actually believe that? And then Eve was like, nah, I don't believe that for a second. She actually, I'm pretty sure she loves it. So, which kind of speaks volumes of, how... Because that's the thing, you never really 100% know about Carolyn, because I feel like she's never really 100% upfront about stuff like that. So she might really does like it, or the fact is Eve might have it twisted about, Carolyn kind of treating her more as the kind of emotionless, no connections MI6 agent that she is, might kind of be selling her a little short. But regardless, her and Mo are on a stakeout waiting for Home Dude. And I love that, like, he's taking off, and Carolyn is like, oh, I'm going to have to go after him. But Mo's like, nah, he's not going to get that far because Home Dude got a few steps down the way, and he ends up stopping because it's like, oh, he is an older dude. So she's like, yeah, do we need to drop you off by the hospital? And the entire time, like, obviously Eve's under the impression, like, oh, Villanelle wasn't here for me, so she must be coming after Carolyn. That was pretty, like, crazy, because the moment she goes over and like Villanelle's got the gun to the window and Carolyn's looking, I was like, oh, dude, because Carolyn's met Villanelle before, so I was about to say I thought Villanelle was going to like pull up her helmet and it was going to be in that instant, but it's not until like she got close and the gun came out but then like the shot happened, I was like, it wasn't Carolyn, it was meant for Home Dude in the back. I guess Villanelle kind of wanted to kind of string things along with like, oh, make things more interesting. Maybe she was aiming for a 2-for-1, 2 birds, 1 stone, or maybe it was just kind of like, oh, that was extra flair, or maybe it's just because Carolyn moved at the last second, kind of getting in the line of fire. It's like, oh, this was never going to hit you, but because you moved because you thought it was for you, it grazed your forehead. But now it's like, well, their one lead is dead. But also for Carolyn, I think it shocks a little in her system, because it's like, well, this is the closest she's come to death probably in a while. So it's just kind of, and Geraldine's there to hug her, but she's like, I'm fine. But it's like, no, like, that's not something easy to, like, I think you literally came face to face with death like that. And I don't think that's the easiest thing to kind of, deal with. My favorite part of the episode, though, was like when Constantine was getting to bed. I was like, doesn't that look like there's someone laying next to him? Because like the cover looked a little puffed up. I was like, is she going to try and scare him? And lo and behold, she jumps out and scares the shit out of him. He was like, don't do that. Don't like wait for me in the damn dark. You're going to give me a heart attack. And I love that. I was like, and she's having so much fun with it. Because that was like a thing. It mainly happened in that one time in season 1. I don't think they ever did it I don't think she ever did it again. Maybe she did. I don't remember. Because there was that time in season 1. I want to say it was in the first episode she was pretending to be dead. I think that's the last time she did. She might have done it once since then, but nevertheless, I love that. And he's crawling back in bed, and she's like, don't you want to know why I'm in your bed? He's like, actually, no. And he rolls over, and he's about to go back to sleep, but she's annoying him. And I'm like, this is kind of adorable. She's like, oh, yeah, like, because of the whole baby situation, because the baby got found by his dad. And she's like, oh, like, they're so happy about the baby. So she wonders, like, oh, like, were people happy about me? You know, what was I like as a baby? She's like, I bet I was cute. And she goes on and she brings up the accountant's dead. And that wakes Constantine up. But then, like, the fact of the matter, he's like, fine, you were an ugly baby. You had, like, basically a misshapen head and stuff like that. She's like, I know you're saying that just to get a reaction. He's like, no, I've seen it. She's like, well, who was I with? He's like, I don't remember. But part of me was like, is that him? Like, is that because he was about to say too much? And he's like, I shouldn't say anything about it. Because now she's kind of wondering, she wants to get to know about her family. Because she's like, you know what, you smell me? And he's like, no. She's like, no, smell me. And you know what that smell is? She's like, power. But basically, she kind of needs to know more about herself if she wants to kind of embrace power and everything. So she wants to try and track down her family. She's asking Constantine to do it. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Because obviously, maybe this would be our way to kind of get insight into Villanelle's past. Because we don't really, learn more about her, like, you know, the Oksana situation. But before that, we don't know much. You know, so maybe that's something we'll kind of dive into this season, which will be interesting. But yeah, so there's that. But once again, that also still wondering, what did Home Dude do with that Charles? Like, what did Charles do with that 6 million euros? Like, where did that go? Because we know that 6 million's also what was, like, wired from one account to the Geneva account. So that was like the 12. Well, because also, like I said, he had to, like, the reason why they had him killed probably wasn't because it might have been a combination of because they knew he was going to be captured by Carolyn and them, and he was going to talk, or maybe it was more so because it's a middle finger, because it's like, wait, you took money from us, like, whatever the case may be. I'm curious to kind of, you know, maybe I just kind of missed the point to that because they didn't really clarify it. Like, maybe it was a combination of the two. Maybe it was just one or the other. But whatever the case may be. I also love Eve going back home and she finds the bear. I was like, okay, so you didn't completely scrap the whole bear plan, Villanelle. Okay, I see how things are. Yeah. Because I'm saying that weird, sorry. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, oh, so not only, I mean, she already knew you were in London, but now she knows exactly where you live. I mean, the 12 does have connections. Now they know you were alive. They knew exactly where to find you. So, well, they've been listening in on her and Carolyn, so they probably had all that information already anyway. Because, right, I keep forgetting, like, because for a second, yeah, they do have Carolyn's place bugged because of Geraldine, so, obviously unbeknownst to her. But in that moment, like, Eve was pissed and everything, she turns off the recording, but then she turns it back on because she likes hearing Villanelle's voice saying, like, admit it, Eve, you wish I was you wish I was here. And it's because in a twisted way, especially with no Nico and just kind of having no one now, because, like, the only other friend she had at this point in time was Kenny, and he's gone now. So I was like, you know, only thing familiar, only thing that's good is relative, obviously, in her life is Villanelle. So it, like I said, it's a twisted relationship that they have, and I love it because of that, how twisted and weird it is. But I'm so curious to ultimately see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.